Hello and welcome. We hear about AI all the time, but what is it actually doing for us at work, day to day? Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise and look at the hard data. We're going to break down exactly how AI is impacting our decision-making, from the easy, clear wins to the really complex stuff. Okay, let's get into it.
So, here's the big question on everyone's mind. Is AI really changing how we work? I mean, for real. This isn't about some far-off future. In this explainer, we are going to answer that question with actual numbers, looking at 15 specific areas where AI is making its mark and, a few places where it just isn't, at least not yet.
So, here's how we'll tackle it. First, we'll look at AI as an efficiency engine. That's where the wins are super clear. Then we'll move on to its role as a strategic co-pilot. After that, we're wading into the tricky waters of the human factor. And we'll wrap it all up by comparing the promise versus the reality.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the efficiency engine. This is all about those foundational boosts, the operational stuff where AI's impact is just incredibly strong and, frankly, really easy to measure.
Think of this as ground zero. This is where AI brings pure speed and precision to the tasks we do every single day. And honestly, the data on its impact here is pretty staggering.
Right off the bat, we see these huge, consistent gains. I mean, look at accelerating the pace of our decisions. Up to 84% of us see a positive impact there. Or improving our monitoring and control with things like dashboards. That number is as high as 82%. And even for core stuff like boosting accuracy to cut down on human error, or just managing the timing of our schedules, about 3/4 of us agree. AI is clearly helping us work faster and a whole lot smarter.
But the clearest win of them all? Access to real-time data. A massive 85% plus of us report a positive impact from being able to use larger volumes of data. So, the main takeaway here is, when it comes to raw operational power, AI is already an absolute game changer, no question about it.
Okay, so let's move on to our next section and see how this all builds. We're now shifting gears from those day-to-day operations to AI's role as our strategic co-pilot, how it helps us with more complex, forward-thinking work.
So here, we're definitely moving into more strategic territory. And the numbers are still really strong, but they're a little more moderate, Around 2/3 of us feel AI is helping with complex tasks, like checking if a decision is even feasible or helping us spark some innovation. Same goes for improving our flexibility and making sure our entire process is complete. So it's like a solid B+ for AI as a strategic partner. But this is also where we start to see a bit of nuance creep.
But check this out. When we talk about anticipating future scenarios, yeah, over 60% feel AI is helping out. But I want you to focus on that big no-impact slice. Almost 1/4 of us, nearly 24%, are seeing zero benefit here yet. And this is really our first hint that some of AI's more advanced capabilities, the ones that are often trickier to implement, just aren't being felt by everyone across the board.
And that brings us perfectly to Section 3, navigating the human factor. Okay, this is where we explore the really nuanced and often challenging areas where technology meets human interaction, perception, and, this is a big one, our own biases.
Let's start with a clear win. This time for transparency. AI is seen as a major help in making our decisions more justifiable, basically by giving us a clear data trail to back up our reasoning.
In fact, over 70% of us agree that AI has a positive impact right here. It helps provide the why behind our choices, which, let's be honest, is a huge win for clarity and for accountability.
But that clarity for an individual doesn't always mean everyone's on the same page. When we look at consistency across different teams, the perception of AI's impact really starts to split.
And this slide is fascinating because it shows that split perfectly. So overall, about 70% of us see a positive impact. But dig a little deeper. Half of the French-speaking group called it just slightly positive, while the international group was way more direct, with almost 39% reporting a clearly positive result. It just goes to show how different groups can experience the exact same tool in totally different ways.
And now we get to the two most contentious points in all the data. First, getting people on board with our decisions, and second, making those decisions free from bias. Now let me tell you, here, the results are deeply divided.
So take stakeholder buy-in, for example. Yeah, a majority sees a positive impact, but would you look at that massive no-impact slice on the chart? That is a huge group, as much as 43% of us who feel like AI isn't helping at all to get people on board. That's a serious disconnect between the tech's potential and how it's being perceived in reality. And it is the exact same story when it comes to reducing bias. While yes, a majority sees a positive effect, a huge chunk of us, again up to 43%, as you can see, report no impact so far. The really crucial takeaway here is this. For these deeply human issues, AI is not a silver bullet. Not yet, anyway.
This leads us perfectly into our final section, promise versus reality. This is where we're going to sum up what AI is doing really well right now versus where its potential is still very much a work in progress.
And here we are, the last of our 15 concepts, and you could argue it's the toughest nut to crack, balancing those immediate business needs with long-term ethical or environmental considerations.
And on this critical issue, we see the highest level of neutrality in the entire study. Just look at the chart. While the slim majority sees a positive impact, a massive portion, up to 41% of us, report no impact. This shows a really significant gap between what we need AI to help us with and what it's actually delivering today.
So let's just put it all together. This slide really recaps our whole journey. On the left, you've got the biggest wins. AI as an undisputed efficiency engine, boosting our access to data, our speed, and our control. But on the right, you've got the biggest growth areas, those complex human-centric challenges of bias, ethics, and getting people on board, where AI's impact is, well, far from a sure thing.
This quote just perfectly captures the core tension we've been talking about. AI is a source of inspiration and innovation, there is no doubt about it. But when it comes to the hardest trade-offs, the ones between business and ethics, we're seeing more uncertainty than anywhere else.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. AI's impact on efficiency? It's undeniable. But as this data shows, maybe the real challenge isn't just about making our work faster, but about making it better, fair, and more responsible. Are we focusing on the right problems? That's definitely something for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining me.